scary story.
He dreamed of his childhood home, the slightly sagging roof. White smoke rose from the brick chimney into the sky. In the kitchen, as always, his beloved wife bustled about, baking fluffy pies from fresh apples. Outside, a thick, fresh breeze blew, filled with the entire spectrum of unimaginable aromas that had almost faded from memory. For many years now, he had smelled nothing but the revolting stench of prison food mixed with the suffocating odors of the latrine that adorned the corner of his cramped cell. The wind grew stronger. Ancient fir trees swayed from side to side, beckoning him deeper into the forest. A lone traveler glanced around in confusion, unsure how he had ended up in this dense wilderness. There was no trace left of his home. Gray flakes of ash rained from the sky. Furious gusts of wind carried sounds resembling the growls of wild predators lurking in the thick taiga undergrowth. Unpleasant chills ran down his spine, and his shoulders twitched involuntarily when a soul-rending howl echoed from the thicket. "No, not a howl," flashed through his mind. "That sounds like a human scream." Yes, definitely, a scream. The sound grew louder, and soon he had to cover his ears with his hands to withstand the unbearable pain. "Ah, stop! Please stop!" A massive shadow flitted between the trees. The silhouette was barely distinguishable. His heart pounded even harder. "Run! I need to run without looking back," the man muttered fearfully. At that moment, an unknown black bird shot upward from behind the trees. The flap of its wings created the very wind that stung his face. Its cry was the same howl, neither beast nor human. The burning rubies of its eyes devoured him as he stood frozen in terror. "It's over! I can't take it anymore!" the man screamed, falling to his knees. "Leave me alone!" Instead of another scream, an unpleasant trill erupted, like the hysterical laughter of a madman. It quickly intensified, turning into an unbearable cacophony of loud sounds. The morning prison bell, the clatter of heavy boots approached, and soon keys jingled, unlocking the cell bars lining the long corridor. "Up, you scum! If I see even one of you still lying down in a minute, it's a week in solitary," threatened the rough voice of the guard. Cell number 2. 04 had long become the only home for Sergei. He lifted his head, heavy from nightmares. Deep inside, echoes of that terrible howl still resonated, and cold sweat trickled down his back. "Damn, what a nightmare," he grumbled irritably and sat up, swinging his legs off the prison bunk. Sliding his hand under the pillow, Sergei pulled out an ordinary matchbox, cleverly hidden behind one of the metal ribs of the prison bed. He shook it and, instead of wooden matches with sulfur heads, retrieved a couple of blue pills. This recent and rather strange gift from the Brotherhood had been a pleasant surprise. Clearly, his past deeds hadn't been forgotten, which meant everything was still in order. "Just what the doctor ordered," he smirked and tossed them into his mouth. "And they say you can't buy everything when you've got cash and respect." Thoughts of his long-lost home and the terrifying nightmares quickly faded, dissolving into memory. In their place came the weight of daily existence, forever tied to this revolting place. Did I deserve such a fate? Sergei occasionally asked himself this stupid question. Of course not. They brought it on themselves. They invited trouble and paid the price. They just picked the wrong man to mess with. What was I supposed to do? Replaying his past crimes in his head over and over, Sergei Ivanovich Mogilevsky, or Grave, as his fellow criminals called him, never found himself at fault for what had happened. The terrible tragedy of his life had been the cause of many brutal murders. Turf wars, innocent victims, just a tiny part of his rich biography. For better or worse, all of it was in the past. Some guilt, he scoffed. Where would it even come from? That's just how the world works. If you don't eat, some fish or predator will gladly feast on you. No, I'm the predator. More like the so-called alpha, not those whining losers I've met plenty of in my life. They were just food, a means of survival. When Grave went on a job, he felt no hatred or any emotion at all. He just went to work like millions of his fellow citizens. Some to factories, some to mines, some behind the wheel. His line of work was just different, and he'd mastered it. The harsh sentence handed down by the judge, condemning him to life behind bars, didn't upset Sergei in the slightest. He knew full well that his talents would eventually secure his freedom, even if it took years, but he would get out. You dumbasses won't keep me in these walls. No way in hell. I love freedom too much to sit on a chain like a beaten dog, he reasoned every evening, gazing through the barred window at the leaden autumn clouds crawling across the endless sky. My time will come, just wait. I'll find my path south and bask on a sandy beach surrounded by half-naked girls. For some reason, he remembered his own family now, his 2 boys, whom he'd never been a good father to, his perpetually nagging wife, whose dissatisfaction and criticism had always sparked conflicts. He wondered if they ever thought of him now, or if his name had long been erased from their memories. No, of course. That's all in the past. Sergei hurriedly brushed the unwanted thoughts aside. Memories of his past life had long faded, leaving only a bitter aftertaste. He himself had tried to forget everything that came before, turning a new page in his life. Now his thoughts were entirely focused on planning his escape. The maximum security colony, housing some of the most ruthless murderers and terrorists, was located in the northernmost reaches of the Urals, barely shy of the Arctic Circle. The weather here, to put it mildly, left much to be desired. Bitter winter frosts gave way to stifling summer heat and swarms of insects. Sergei and the other guests of the zone rarely saw the local nature. The cell windows faced a dull gray-painted wall, and the exercise yard, where he spent barely an hour in the endless days, had no windows at all. Despite the bleak existence, the inmate didn't waste his time. In the modest prison library, he'd found several interesting books on survival in the wild. He immersed himself in studying hunting techniques and foraging. A map of the northern Ural settlements, obtained thanks to his innate cunning, was a priceless treasure he carefully hid from the prying eyes of the guards. Days, weeks, months dragged on. Endless routine eroded the reality of existence. Sergei wasn't really living, constantly lost in his own thoughts. He was trapped with his musings, hidden desires, and dreams, with no one to share them with. At night, as if mocking him, his brain dredged up the most horrific images of long-forgotten crimes from the depths of his consciousness. His victims visited him in dreams, weeping, pleading, even threatening, until the first scattered rays of light pierced the bars of the tiny cell window. It all started a week ago, when Grave returned to his cell after another walk. The door slammed shut behind him, the bolts clanging. His habit of washing his hands immediately hadn't left him. Years of work steeped in dirt and blood had turned this into an almost manic need to wash away anything that might have touched his skin. Approaching the small, rusty sink, Sergei didn't even notice the gaunt man sitting in the corner, deftly shuffling a familiar matchbox between his fingers. "Hello," a quiet voice rang out like rolling thunder. Sergei flinched and nearly hit his head on the flimsy shelf above the sink in surprise. "Oh, sorry, I just thought—" "Who the hell are you?" Grave growled, trying to mask his ridiculous fright. "Marek," the stranger introduced himself calmly, "but my friends call me Raven." "Marek Raven? What kind of dumb name is that?" Sergei frowned. "Not from around here?" "You could say that," the man replied calmly, hopping off the bunk. The new cellmate was short, barely reaching 5 feet. His scrawny frame and sharp features resembled a concentration camp prisoner, especially compared to Sergei's muscular torso. The inmate's skin was an unhealthy white. The prison uniform hung on Raven like a coat hanger, and it didn't look new either. Scuffed pants at the knees, a crumpled and dirty t-shirt. None of it painted a flattering picture of its owner. Eyes black as coal expressed strange interest and evoked mixed feelings of unease and revulsion. Raven extended his hand, but Sergei didn't even think to shake it. Instead, he spat into the sink with gusto and turned off the water. "Hey, how'd you get my—" He hesitated, searching for the right word. "Stash?" His gaze fell on the matchbox. Raven handed it to its owner and immediately said, "I overheard the guards whispering about you. They were planning to search your cell while you were out, so I decided to play it safe and hide this until you got back. Judging by the contents, I doubt the prison administration would approve without a doctor's prescription." "Mind your own damn business," Sergei snapped irritably, snatching the box. "I'll handle the sniveling brats myself." Grave eyed his new cellmate with distrust. The explanation sounded utterly stupid. No one knew about that box. He could have easily punched the runt in the face, but Sergei decided to observe first. It was possible they'd planted a snitch to get the former hitman to spill his secrets to the prosecutor. "All right, let's get one thing straight. I'm in charge here," Sergei declared authoritatively. "If you listen to me, maybe we'll get along. But first tell me who you are and how you ended up here." Unfazed, the cellmate calmly withdrew his hand and sat on the edge of his bunk. "Hey, I don't have flowers growing on me, so quit staring," Sergei warned. "I asked you a question." "I won't be here long. Just passing through, you could say." Raven broke the prolonged silence. "Not long? In a prison for lifers?" Sergei burst into exaggerated laughter. "You're a real comedian. With your talent for keeping a straight face while spouting nonsense, you should join the circus." "Glad I could amuse you," Raven replied, ignoring the insults. "But it's true. You see, I was sent here to help you escape." "You? Help me?" Sergei continued laughing. "Look at yourself. You'll croak any day now. Then I'll have to prove I didn't kill you. I don't need that kind of trouble. And anyway, I'm not planning anything. I'm doing just fine here," he lied. "Fine," Raven unexpectedly agreed. "If you don't want my help, you can rot in this godforsaken place. In a couple of days, I'll be sunbathing on a tropical beach surrounded by half-naked girls." "What the hell are you talking about?" The forced cheer vanished. A mix of surprise and irritation flickered across Sergei's stern face. Just yesterday, he'd been thinking, no, dreaming of exactly that. "Coincidence? Of course, coincidence," Sergei reassured himself. "I'm saying that in a couple of days I won't be here. And if you're not too scared, you can come with me. Though the road won't be easy." "Watch your mouth. I've never been scared or backed down." "Say that again, and I'll smash your face in," he said, flexing his massive fists. Raven's face remained impassive. Not a single muscle twitched, maintaining a mask of calm. It unsettled Sergei. Never before had such weaklings reacted this way or spoken to him so dismissively. "And how exactly do you plan to escape? There are guards everywhere, bars, high fences, not to mention the taiga stretching for dozens of miles." "Yes, I know the road won't be easy, but the prize is worth it, right? You don't want to sit here another 30 or 40 years and then go straight to the grave, do you? Come with me, and that won't happen." Why the generosity? Sergei frowned, searching for the slightest hint of deceit or a setup from this unexpected savior. "Like I said, I was sent here to help you." "And who sent you?" "Alex, the Hammer from New York, or Pete the Beard from Chicago. Didn't they rat me out to the cops? Trying to apologize now? Finally realized what a master they lost?" Sergei deliberately threw out fake names, hoping to catch his interlocutor in a lie. "My employer asked me not to reveal his name," Raven evaded. "Screw him then. No point looking a gift horse in the mouth. Just make sure you actually get me out, and we'll figure out the rest later." Sergei grinned predatorily, and as if nothing had happened, extended his hand to Raven. The handshake was brief. Raven's disgusting, thin, cold hand nearly cracked in Sergei's grip. The 2 nights before the escape passed in agonizing anticipation. The pills had an effect, but not quite the one he expected. His heart pounded harder, his muscles swelled with blood, and his soul strained against the thick prison walls. Sergei tried with all his might to sleep, but couldn't. Occasionally, he managed to slip into unconsciousness. But instead of dreams of tropical islands and buxom women, he saw terrifying visions. Hundreds of voices called to him, dragging him into a primeval forest. Endless cold and fear. Not the kind he was used to in real life. It was viscous, suffocating, creeping under his skin, seeping into his brain, squeezing his heart. "It's fine. Soon all this will be in the past. I'll get new papers, flee this country, buy a little house by the sea, and live happily. I've got plenty stashed away for a rainy day. Whoever sent this runt to help me made a mistake. I'm not going back to the Brotherhood. There are only 2 ways out with them: prison or a shallow grave. I've already done the first, and the second isn't for me. As for my new friend, once we reach civilization, I'll have to take care of him quietly. Can't risk him blabbing." The plan for his new life had never been clearer, but Sergei barely thought about the escape itself. His cellmate also preferred silence. The crimson glow of the invisible autumn sunset signaled the end of another pointless day. So how's that genius plan of yours coming along? Are we waiting for a wizard in a blue helicopter to whisk us away? Or are you going to kiss a goldfish and make a wish? Sergei sneered, swallowing another pill and shooting Raven a disapproving look as the man sat peacefully on his bunk. Raven didn't answer, just muttered something under his breath with his eyes closed. Over the 2 days they'd shared the cell, Sergei had noticed Raven's odd habits. He could sit motionless for hours, staring at nothing, whispering strange words. At night, he'd sometimes rise silently and stand in the darkness, eyes wide open. Sergei had nearly lost his voice the first time he saw the black figure watching him. The man was unsettling, a mix of disgust and fascination. Sergei had never met anyone like him, but that didn't change his plans to eliminate Raven after the escape. Paradoxically, breaking out of a northern prison wasn't the hard part. Surviving the wilderness was. Sergei was no less a predator than the beasts out there. He just wore a human face. That thought gave him confidence. They won't harm their own, he reassured himself, running his fingers along the sharp edge of a makeshift shiv he'd fashioned from a scrap of metal. As promised, it happened on the second night. The cell door clanged and strange noises echoed down the corridor. A muffled thud, like a sack hitting the floor, followed by the jingle of keys in the lock. The door creaked open, and Sergei froze at the sight. A blood-smeared guard stood in the doorway. It was that guard, the one who hated him, the one who'd shoved him during yard time, nearly sparking a fight. Now the man held a massive kitchen knife. That unsettled Sergei more than anything. "Hey, pig, what the hell? Lost your damn mind?" Sergei blurted, backing into the corner. "Looks like they've come for us," Raven said calmly, slipping on his prison shoes. "We don't have much time." No need to say it twice. Sergei eyed the guard's hollow, glazed-over stare. His lips moved, sputtering nonsense. "What the hell is this? Another accomplice?" Sergei asked warily. "Something like that," Raven dismissed. Sergei quickly stuffed his pre-packed supplies into a makeshift bundle, threw on his prison jacket, and followed Raven. In the middle of the corridor lay a dead guard. The surveillance monitors at the checkpoint were smeared with blood. 3 more prison staff, their guts spilled out, greeted Sergei with lifeless stares. Even a hardened killer like him was stunned. He'd imagined countless escape plans, bribing guards, picking locks, sneaking through shadows, scaling the razor wire fence. None involved this level of carnage. "They'll hunt us to the ends of the earth for this," Sergei whispered, surveying the slaughter. "There's no turning back, or are you chickening out?" Raven prodded. "Chickening out? Yeah, chickening out," the zombified guard parroted, a thick strand of drool dangling from his mouth. "This damn zombie's coming with us?" Sergei muttered, still not believing what was happening. "Just trust me. It's all arranged. Like I said, no going back." Raven's voice was eerily calm. "Remember those girls on the beach?" "I remember," Sergei hissed, already picturing how he'd rid himself of this arrogant bastard. "Then let's go." Stepping into the prison yard, Sergei inhaled deeply. The crisp night air filled his lungs, washing away the stench of captivity. The prison slept soundly. No voices of inmates, no laughter from patrolling guards, not even the cawing of crows that usually loitered near the trash bins. Just oppressive silence. The 3 of them moved from the cell block to the inner checkpoint. A heavy-set woman lay slumped over a console, her fingers twitching as if reaching for a button. Sergei checked for a pulse and relaxed only when he saw her faint movement. "Don't fall behind, don't fall behind. Keep going. There's light ahead, salvation," the guard droned, his voice inhuman. "What the hell is happening?" Sergei snapped. "Don't worry, soon we'll be free. Then you'll understand everything," Raven said matter-of-factly. The path to the main gate was short, less than 3 minutes. Freedom loomed ahead. The heavy metal doors, as if anticipating their escape, stood slightly ajar. More bodies lay nearby. No time to check if they were alive. One last hurdle. A gunshot rang out. The guard's head exploded, showering the escapees with gore. The duty officer, barely standing, leveled a shotgun at them. "Freeze, you bastards! What the hell is going on here? I should put you down right now," he slurred, swaying. Instinct took over. Sergei whipped out his shiv and hurled it before the man could fire. The officer collapsed, the blade buried to the hilt in his throat. "Bullseye, as always," Sergei smirked, wiping the knife on his pants. Raven watched, nodding approvingly. Behind the mask of calm lurked something else, something alien to human understanding. Once beyond the gates, the world came alive with noise. A red flare lit the starry sky, shouts of guards, wailing sirens, the roar of inmates cheering their escape. A tower guard spotted the fleeing figures and opened fire. Bullets kicked up dirt at their feet. They sprinted through a clearing, vanishing into the dense undergrowth. Behind them, dogs barked. Flashlights flickered. Voices grew louder. "Don't let them get away! Shoot to kill! Track them!" Another flare burst overhead, casting monstrous shadows. The trees twisted into gnarled hands, reaching for Sergei. They beckoned him, welcoming him into their embrace. His heart hammered, blood surging through his veins. After years behind bars, he'd forgotten this exhilaration. Branches lashed at his face, roots tripped him. The forest fought back. A howl echoed. Not a wolf, not human. Something worse. Then he saw her. A small figure in a tattered gray dress stood ahead. No face, just long, tangled hair. A gunshot cracked. A birch tree splintered beside him. "Stop, you bastard! You're not getting away!" Sergei didn't look back. He ran. The ravine appeared suddenly, a yawning black mouth in the earth. Sergei barely stopped at the edge, but the wet ground gave way. He tumbled down, Raven following. No sharp rocks at the bottom, just a hard, painful landing. "Get up! They'll be here soon," Raven said, brushing dirt from his pants. "Damn it, my leg!" Sergei groaned, clutching his right ankle. No visible damage, but white-hot pain radiated up his shin. Above them, leaves rustled. Flashlight beams cut through the darkness. Pressing against the steep slope, Sergei limped after Raven. "Flank them! Can't climb down here. Too steep. Circle around." Ahead, a narrow creek wound through the ravine. "Perfect. Hope this works." Sergei shrugged off his bundle and pulled out scraps of prison uniform, soaked in a pungent chemical. "They'll think we followed the water to throw off the dogs. Instead, we go the opposite way. Deeper in." Raven gave an approving grunt. After covering their tracks with a broken branch, they climbed the far side. The sounds of pursuit faded. "It worked. Those dumb hounds won't find us now," Sergei said, slowing to catch his breath. "Maybe, but at sunrise the search expands. We need distance," Raven replied, unnervingly calm. Sergei rubbed his throbbing leg. "Which way?" "There." Raven pointed south. "How do you know?" "I know." "Smug bastard," Sergei muttered, following. They walked in silence. Hunger gnawed at Sergei's gut. He'd packed stale bread and flavorless meat patties stolen from the prison kitchen. No water, but the wilderness provided. Within an hour, they found a lake. Mirror still, reflecting the snow-capped Ural peaks. Ignoring Raven's disapproving stare, Sergei stripped and plunged in. The icy water shocked his system, scrubbing away years of filth and regret. For a moment, he felt clean, redeemed, but the illusion shattered at dusk. The promised road never appeared. Sergei squinted at his tattered map, but the landmarks refused to match. Rain began falling, cold, relentless. They camped beneath a pine, exhaustion dragging them into fitful sleep. The fog next morning was unnatural, thick as smoke, swallowing sound. Even Raven seemed wary. "Probably from the lake," Sergei said, standing. "Perhaps," Raven conceded, "but we must move. The guards won't be the only hunters here." "What the hell does that mean?" A twig snapped. Something massive moved in the mist. A shape emerged, a towering elk, its antlers like gnarled branches, eyes black and judging. "Well, hello, dinner," Sergei grinned, pulling his shiv. "No!" Raven grabbed his arm. "That's no animal. It's a spirit. Harm it, and the forest won't let us pass." "You're out of your damn mind." The elk's eyes flashed. With a snort, it vanished into the fog. "Nice going. Now what do we eat?" Sergei spat. "You don't understand. This place, it remembers." The words prickled Sergei's neck. He shoved past Raven. "Enough fairy tales. We walk." The huts appeared at twilight, tiny, crooked, perched on chicken-like legs, moss-coated with carved symbols, a child's nightmare. What idiot builds this deep in... Raven? Sergei turned. His companion was gone. The nearest hut's door creaked open. Inside, a corpse grinned at him, milky eyes unblinking. Finally, it rasped. We've waited so long. Bony fingers gripped the doorframe. Sergei stumbled back, falling. You chose this path. Now you'll join us. A chorus of wails erupted from the other huts. Children crying. His children. Sergei clapped hands over his ears, but the sound drilled into his skull. He ran. The forest twisted. Ghosts lunged from the fog. His wife, his victims, their faces rotting, pleading, accusing. A little girl in a burnt dress reached for him. I didn't mean... The ground gave way. Skeletal hands dragged him under. Cold muck filled his mouth. Darkness. He woke to Raven's face, smoking a pipe. Snow fell. You screamed. I found you half dead, Raven said. Sergei touched his head, bloody, throbbing. The huts were gone. I saw them. My family. They called me. The Mansi tribes buried their dead here, Raven mused. Their spirits see everything. Fear, guilt, sin. Sergei's hands shook. The matchbox was empty. No pills left to mute the memories. Who sent you, Raven? Really? Raven's smile stretched too wide. You did. The snow fell heavier now, painting the taiga in monochrome. Sergei's body had become a stranger to him, his fingers skeletal, ribs protruding like the bars of his old cell. Each step sent jagged pain through his swollen ankle. The cold no longer registered. Keep moving, Raven croaked, his voice like wind through dead leaves. Sergei obeyed without thought. The pills were gone. The visions remained. Seryozenka, his mother's voice again, carried on the freezing wind. Why won't you stay? He remembered her funeral, the way her neck had bent at that unnatural angle, the rope marks, his father's drunken sobs turning to laughter by evening. That was when 14-year-old Sergei had taken the family pistol and... No, that wasn't me. The old man shot himself. Everyone knew that. The memory unraveled like rotten thread. Raven's silhouette flickered at the edge of vision. His shadow stretched too long, merging with the pines. The snowfall thickened, reducing the world to a white void. Who are you? Sergei rasped, his throat raw. Raven turned. His face shifted, the nose elongating, mouth splitting ear to ear in a grin too wide for any human. I'm what you made me, the voice in your matchbox, the last thought before the noose tightens. The trees whispered in unison. Figures emerged from the blizzard. The guard whose throat he'd slit, the little girl from the fire, his wife clutching their son's small blue-tinged hands. They're not real, Sergei whimpered, backing away. His heel caught on a root. He fell hard, snow filling his mouth, nose, eyes. Raven loomed above him, black against white. The prison doctors missed the shiv in your mattress. The guards never checked your pillow. Such a simple thing. Hollow out the matches, replace them with rat poison, blue like the sky you'd never see again. Sergei's limbs locked. The cold wasn't cold anymore. It burned. His vision tunneled. You swallowed them all last night, Raven whispered, crouching. His breath smelled of sulfur. Enough to kill 3 men, but the taiga wanted you awake for this. The snow beneath Sergei darkened. Not blood, ink, spreading, pooling, forming wings. They'll find you in the morning, Raven said, fading into the storm. Hanging from the bars. Your masterpiece, a blood eagle on the wall. The guards will whisper for years about how Grave flew away. The last thing Sergei saw was the matchbox, empty and perfect in the snow. Epilogue, cell number 204. The guard's keys jangled at dawn. Up, maggots! Anyone still in bed gets... He froze. The cell door stood ajar. Inside, the walls wept red. Crude wings spread from a central figure. Sergei Grave Mogilevsky, suspended from the bars by his own torn uniform. His emaciated body swayed gently, face locked in surprise. At his feet, one empty matchbox. The guard crossed himself. No man could have lost so much blood and lived. No man could have tied those knots from the inside. Outside, a lone crow took flight, its shadow skimming the prison walls before vanishing into the taiga.